everyone, it's Venom. Today we're taking our first look into a new upcoming social VR esport, Orion Drift. More specifically, we're going to review what the sport of Driftball is and see if it has what it takes for Echo VR to hand over the reins as the next major VR esport. For those who are new here, I've been part of the VR esports scene since 2017 and have spent years playing competitive Echo Arena. I've coached thousands of players and even signed my first pro contract before Meta shut down Echo. My background in sports goes way back. I started playing soccer at age 6 and continued all the way into college as a goalkeeper. So whether it's on the field or in VR, I've honed a game sense that I'm excited to share with you. And with that said, let's dive into the core mechanics and see how Orion Drift and its sport Driftball stands up to the gameplay of Echo VR. First up, let's talk movement. Echo VR was all about understanding the zero-gravity environment. You had hand thrusters, the ability to grab and push off of surfaces, and an exclusive mechanic to the game called regrabbing. Movement in Echo is fast-paced, and required skill to properly position yourself, juke out opponents, and maneuver around the arena with your teammates. Now in Orion Drift, things are a bit different. Inside the Driftball stadium, movement borrows heavily from Gorilla Tag, with that arm-swinging style. Here, you're not floating, but sprinting around the floor of the arena. Controlling the ball utilizes a new touch-to-dribble mechanic that adds a whole new layer of control and strategy. And they have nearly eliminated the need for most of the buttons. The only ones that are used are the Y and B buttons as temporary thrusters, grip buttons to stop or climb objects, and the right stick to turn, which is optional. The sport itself seems to take heavy inspiration from Rocket League. However, the mechanics and physical involvement provide a fresh feel that most will say allows it to completely separate itself from its flat-screen counterpart. So which style is better? Well, that's up for debate. If you're into the fast-paced, zero-G freedom of Echo VR, you might miss that movement. But if you're looking for something that relates more to traditional sports, Driftball has a lot to offer. So let's get into the physics. Echo VR has this weightless, momentum-based system that defined everything. Passing, shooting, and defending were all about reading the movement of the disc and players in zero-G. You could pull off some crazy defensive plays by cutting off passing lanes or diving to intercept a disc mid-air. Accurate shooting required practice. There is no auto-aim or a simple press of the button. Throwing the disc involved the complexity of trained muscle memory and created a whole new layer to sports and gaming. In the Driftball Stadium, the physics have been finely tuned by Gorilla Tag developers, former Echo developers, and even the players themselves. While there is gravity, the ball interacts with the environment much like the Echo disc would have. Now the Driftball plays how I would expect a lighter, overinflated soccer ball would feel, the way that it rolls along the floor, bouncing off walls, and responds to your touch in a way that feels more like a traditional sport, allowing you to control its movement in ways I have yet to find in any other VR game thus far. Dribbling, sprinting, and temporary boosting bring a whole new layer of tactical gameplay. You've got to be smart about your positioning, timing, and how you interact with the environment around you. Every move still takes a calculated risk, and it certainly makes for a different kind of excitement. Also introduced in this mode is the Heart Ball, one of my favorite features brought to life in this game. The Heart Ball is essentially what the practice disc was in Echo, but fully interactive with everyone around you. And while you do only get one, there is no limit on how many players can pull theirs out in the arena. This mechanic works outside of the arena as well, but unfortunately I can't get into what all goes on out there just yet, so more to discuss on this soon. Now let's talk objectives. Echo VR is known for its team-based disc throwing strategy of putting the disc in your opponent's goal, and each game had this intense back and forth that demanded quick thinking and tight coordination. A split-second decision could make or break a match, and every player had a role to fill. Solo movement was slow enough that it was almost impossible to move completely down the arena without being sniped by a defensive chain. Driftball, on the other hand, leans a little more into solo skill, supplemented with team tactics. The goal is still to score, but how you get there is up to you. The touch-to-dribble mechanic allows for more interesting transitions between defense and offense. And you're not just flinging a disc, you're controlling the ball in ways that mimic real-world sports. Like trapping the ball and touching away into space, it feels more deliberate, more calculated, and it opens up a lot of creative playstyles. Due to the lack of holding the ball and being unable to rotate, pitch, or roll, solo play also does not end up overpowered like it did around the offensive bubble in Echo. Now, no game is perfect. Echo VR had its share of issues, things like play space abuse, unbalanced chain speed, and that steep learning curve for newcomers. Orion Drift is trying to address some of those, but it's not without its own set of challenges. If you're used to the zero-G mechanics of Echo VR, adjusting to the grounded gameplay of Driftball might take some time. And we're still waiting to see how the upcoming zero-G mode will play out, so that's something to keep an eye on. But if you're open to a new style of play that brings fresh strategies and a different kind of intensity, Driftball might be worth your time. When it comes down to it, both games offer something unique. Echo VR is all about speed, precision, and that unforgettable zero-G experience, while Driftball gives us a more grounded, tactical approach that could redefine VR sports. Personally, I'm excited to see how Driftball evolves and whether it can carve out its own legacy. If you're eager to dive into Orion Drift's early access, be sure to join their Discord that I've linked in the description, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you sticking with Echo, or are you ready to chart a new course to the Orion station? Before you go, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content on Orion Drift. I've got some exciting updates and tournaments along the way, and you won't want to miss them. Until next time, I'll see you in the arena.